Biohacking basically means upgrading our body, our mind, and our life. From a health perspective, it is objectively reversing our biological age. Because today I really believe that the average person, you and me, can live to be 100 years old, but be able to do what a 40-year-old does. In other words, increasing our lifespan, our quality of life. I believe we can be 100 years old, but still go hiking, traveling, and do the things we love to do if we implement the tips and strategies that are available to us.
Welcome to the Expressoul Health and Wellness Podcast. In each episode, you'll learn from experts about the best practices and technologies to live a happier, healthier, and hopefully a longer life. Here is your host, Claudia Erdenola.
Welcome to Expressoul Health and Wellness Podcast. My name is Claudia Erdenola. I am a professional engineer with a passion for health and wellness. At my podcast, I bring experts in different areas and disciplines on the healthcare and wellness, and with those experts, we learn on better ways in how we can take control of our health to be at our optimal levels, live longer, healthier, and happier lives. If these are subjects of your interest, I invite you to subscribe right here and hit the notification button so you will be notified every time we bring different content to our podcast. Also, follow us in all our social media outlets. Part of my mission on bringing those experts to educate us on better ways in how to take control of our lives and our health, all of those new protocols, new research, new ways on improve our health to bring ourselves to the optimal levels is to bring that information totally free of charge to you. So I kindly ask you, my listeners, to support our channel by leaving your 5-star reviews. That way, YouTube will make this information available to more people interested in all of these new technologies and new information about health and wellness. Also, I kindly ask you to visit our description box and get all of those amazing discounts that we have from affiliate companies to our channel that are supporting our channel. Today's episode is brought to you totally free of charge by Expressoul Coffee. Expressoul Coffee is my brand of coffee. I designed this brand with your health in mind because I wanted to bring to the market an option of the healthiest coffee available. And I made it. All of these beans come from South America and Central America. I know the farmers, small farms, small sustainable farms, where the farmers really take care of the coffee plants and they take care of the water and the soils and the richness of the environment surrounding the coffee beans, the coffee plants produce these amazing beans that are rich in nutrients and antioxidants good for your health. All of my coffees are low in acidity, which means they won't hurt your tummy, they won't hurt your teeth if you are sensitive to that, because we crafted all of the roasting process to keep the acidity low while preserving all of the nutrients and antioxidants. So Sana is my brand of organic coffee. This one is 100% USDA organic and it's delicious. It has some chocolatey notes that are amazing. The flavors and the aromas are so good. Then we have Alma. Alma means soul. And this is the soul of my brand. These beans come from Colombia and they're very, very, very high quality beans. And then I have my house blend, which is Activate. And Activate is a blend between the best coffees from Colombia, Honduras, and Brazil. This is a delicious coffee. It's a little stronger and it will give you that extra kick of energy that you need if you have very active life. All of my coffees are Expressoul coffee. I made them also on the convenience of the coffee pots. So you can bring them wherever at your convenience, whenever you want to enjoy your coffee on the Keurig machines. And these coffee pots are 100% recyclable. So go to www.expressoulcoffee.com and order our coffees. Shipping is free with all the orders over $50. And remember, this is very important. I want you to go down here in the description box because I have a very special discount for you, my listeners. Go to www.expressoulcoffee.com and apply the discount that I leave right here for you. If you are interested in everything related to slow aging, anti-aging, biohacking, what is biohacking? Are we here to learn about what is the new science to bring the human beings to the optimal and maximal levels of performance and optimal health? I think we are. And we're going to learn about it today because our guest today is Dr. Mike Van Thielen. Dr. Mike Van Thielen is a best author of 8 books, all of them excellent books in Amazon. His latest book is called The ISOT Method, Unleash Your Superpower, and he's going to tell us all about it. He is the founder of the Health Freedom Movement, and over 3 decades, Dr. Mike has been involved with the best optimal health practices, anti-aging, and regenerative medicine, sport performance, nutrition and supplementation, and biohacking strategies. He is a mentor, a coach, helping people to regain control of their health. He also is the current medical director at Clarigent Z Health, an innovative medical company in which he developed a nootropic medicine, and he is gonna educate us about what are nootropics and why they are part of all of this new biohacking movement, biohacking technologies that we now can take advantage of to bring ourselves up our optimal levels of health and wellness. So here with us is Dr. Mike Van Thielen. Welcome, Dr. Mike Van Thielen, to the Expressoul Health and Wellness podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Claudia.
Wonderful. Hey, I am very pleased to have you here. I think we're going to have a very enlightened conversation about the science, biohacking, all of these areas where your expertise is going to serve us a big deal of education. So right now, I would like for you to tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, as you notice, I have an accent also.
We both do.
I grew up in Belgium. My mom worked very hard to provide for me and my brother. I ended up going to the University of Brussels, did physical education first because I love sports and it was a lot of fun, but what are you going to do with a degree in physical education? Not that much, I guess. So I decided to do physical therapy. After that, I traveled with the Belgian Olympic swim team in preparation for the Atlanta Games in 1996. And that's how I find out there were short of physical therapists in the United States. I got recruited here as a physical therapist in 97. I had to save $400, pack my backpack, and came live the American dream. Needless to say, with no money and no credit score and no mentor or coach, I got knocked down many times. But my motto quickly became, I never lose, I either win or I learn, right? And from then on, started it with physical therapy here, but went back to school, got my Doctor of Oriental Medicine, license in acupuncture, Oriental medicine, homeopathy, and all the 9 yards there. But ended up in 2014 also with the PhD in holistic nutrition, wrote 8 books, am a motivational keynote speaker, just finished my TED Talk in Colorado last weekend, so now I'm a TEDx speaker also. And so today I'm a coach mentor because I believe I can help people regain control of their health, optimize their health, or biohack their health, meaning objectively reverse their biological age, or help them in their business. I also help business corporations with a corporate program, engaging their employees and upgrading their body, their mind, and their life. So that's in short my life story there.
That's wonderful, and that is very impressive. And it occurs to me that with all of the paths that you could take, you really focus your career into more a holistic way of approaching the treatment of a human body, of the condition. You were very competitive yourself. You hold records on swimming yourselves. You have been assistant coach of Olympic teams. you had been in this competitive, arena for a very long time, and you decided to be more on the holistic side of treating a human. Why is that?
Well, because it's the only one that gives actual results. Anything else is just masking symptoms, putting band-aids on, keeping people alive. But those people are suffering, even though they're breathing, they're suffering. So that's really a poor quality of life. And that's where functional medicine, holistic medicine, anti-aging, and now biohacking is the latest term, including regenerative medicine, comes in, because we always look at the body as a whole and we come up with solutions that address the cause and not the symptoms. And it's actually not that hard to do, to help people with their health problems, if they just look outside of conventional medicine, because conventional medicine is very restricted. Tool bag is very, very small. We usually have drugs, injections, and surgeries. And when the doctor says, I can't help you, the emphasis is on I can't help you, because their tools are limited. So I always encourage people to look outside of that very restricted vision of conventional medicine and see what else is out there, because as long as you're breathing, your body will strive for perfect health. It's one of the laws of human nature, the law of self-preservation. And therefore, you need to find somebody that can guide you, help you, like myself or anybody else that has the knowledge to guide you to put yourself in the correct conditions so that the body can heal itself.
It's just beautiful. And that's why channels as mine, as many others, are so popular right now, because we really want to bring information to the people that are so convinced that the solution is on the traditional methods. And this is, unfortunately, many ways that the traditional medicine is being practiced is the way that was taught 60 years ago, 50 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, when we have this evolving science in research showing different ways in approaching the human condition and making a totally different paradigm in how to treat pain and how to treat chronic conditions, how to prevent those in the first place. So, by starting in our health system is not really promoting prevention. It's more focused on what I do with you now that you have the problem. So in many cases, very effectively, you go to ER. If you have a broken bone, they know how to put it back together. But when we're talking about chronic illness, I think the system comes short, and that's why we need to educate our listeners in different ways, protocol, science. Where are we going? What we can do from home to keep ourselves at the best, at the optimal condition. If I have a condition, what I can do to, improve my condition or prevent something worse from happening. So that's why I love to have you here. And you mentioned something that right now is like the word out there. Biohacking. I want you to tell us, what is biohacking?
Well, it's an amorphous term. There's many different explanations. But in my dictionary, biohacking basically means upgrading our body, our mind, and our life. From a health perspective, it is objectively reversing our biological age. Because today I really believe that the average person, you and me, can live to be 100 years old, but be able to do what a 40-year-old does. In other words, increasing our lifespan, our quality of life. I believe we can be 100 years old, but still go hiking, traveling, and do the things we love to do if we implement the tips and strategies that are available to us.
I totally believe that too. And I this is music to my ears and to many of my listeners too. Sometimes, Dr. Mike, it is a misconception to think that we're talking about anti-aging. It's not like we're not age. It's how we age and at what speed, And that is what we're talking about here. So now all of these biohacking and slow aging protocols out there, you hear every time they're coming with something different. How do you see that science that has been, in a sense, reserved for few? How do you see that coming now to the masses, to the regular me and many others that are listening right now?
Yeah, it was kind of for the elite, but people don't understand it's for everybody now. It's out there. And you don't have to invest a few $100,000 in some expensive equipment. It's not necessary, because we all have to start with start with building our foundation. In my newest book, I talk about the 7 foundational principles that we all can work on that doesn't have to cost any money or very little money in order to build that foundation and optimize our health and start reversing our biological age. So, most people didn't hear about it yet, but that's why we have people like you to bring that word out there, right, to the common people. But it's available to everybody right now. It's not just the elite that can take advantage of this knowledge, because it's tips and strategies. Yes, there are technologies, and technologies are great.
Yes.
There's some of the technologies that work very well, but with my mentees, when I start, it's about getting the foundations in place first. And so when I help people with their health, because I also help people with business or their personal life, but if I help them with their health, I usually have 3 categories where I put them in. And unfortunately, most of them fall in the first category. What it means is we need to regain control of your health. So these are people that are diagnosed with a disease or a medical condition, that are in pain or that are overweight. So we first need to regain control and get back to quote-unquote normal, right? Once we accomplish that, which is easier done than with conventional medicine, once we accomplish that, we go to step number 2, which is optimize our health. Now we want to be vital, we want to be strong, we want to be fit, we want to be in control of our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And only then, step number 3, only optimal health or being in optimal health would then be the ideal foundation to maximize the benefits of biohacking technologies and strategies. So it's not a silver bullet or anything else, but if we put foundations in place, then our body will respond to those high-end technologies and strategies.
This is wonderful. And you mentioned a new book coming. What is the name of the book? And when we're going to have the pleasure to read it?
The book is out.
It's already out.
Yeah, the ISOP method, Unleash Your Superpower. So it's about biohacking, upgrading body, mind, and life. But especially today and after the pandemic, I also talk about productivity and focus, because a lot of people lost their zest for life, purpose in life. A lot of people don't have purpose in life. And so we talk about how to regain focus, how to get into the zone, be productive, and live at our highest potential. So that's also part of, obviously, biohacking. It's not just the body, the physical body, but the mind is even more important and many times overlooked, because the mind controls the body and the mind also creates our future. So the mind becomes very important, and we need to biohack or upgrade our mind, also our belief systems, and those types of things need to be addressed.
Now we're getting into more granular here in this biohacking, because I can understand physically maybe technologies and compounded nutritional supplements and other things that we can do may help that part on the physical. But now you're talking about mindset, resetting your beliefs that are limited, and just breaking them.
Yeah.
How we do that?
Well, today it's actually much easier than before. When I was swimming competitively, like 2 decades ago even, people told me, Mike, you need to meditate. And here I go, I try to meditate. But for me, it was very hard to clear my mind. I'm always thinking about all those things. So when you try something a few times and you don't see the benefit, you give up. But today we have so many technologies and strategies available that within 1 or 2 sessions, the average person can feel a difference, can tap into a different brainwave, can experience what a meditative state is like. And when you experience a benefit or you feel something different, then you tend to continue that journey. And so today, meditation is made a lot easier, I think. For me, breath work works very well, because when I concentrate on my breath and I'm so focused on my breath, everything else clears my mind. And that's how I get into a different state. But we have breath work, we have visualization, we have manifestation, we have even technologies such as Brain Tap that facilitates us getting into a different state of mind, if you will. But then, of course, you probably need a coach as myself or anybody else who can help you with visualization, manifestation, talking about your false core beliefs, because we all have a belief system that is negative, a belief system that thinks we can't reach our dreams and our goals. So we need to eliminate those false core beliefs, and we need to work on our belief system. Because if there's any doubt in our mind that we can obtain optimal health or that we can reach our goals and dreams in life, if there's any doubt in the universe, there's two options, failure or success. If there's no doubt in our mind that we can achieve our goals and dreams, then the universe only has one option, success, right? So that's where the mind becomes very, very important. If you were diagnosed with cancer and this diagnosis is a label, then it's going to be very hard to overcome that because that label is in your subconscious mind. Mm-hmm. And that's a blueprint of where you're going. So, on the other hand, it's very easy if we get rid of that label and if we work on our belief system that we're going to overcome this cancer and that after overcoming this cancer, we're going to help people do the same thing, for example, if that's our goal or our dream. And how we work on that belief system and we change our trajectory in our mind, then that's actually what's going to happen in real life too. So even in a physical state or being diagnosed with a horrible thing like cancer, I believe now that the mind can easily overcome that, even without medications.
That is very interesting because what you're saying is that our biology is going to be directed by our thoughts. So basically, I'm an engineer. I work engineering and I do for many, many years now, more than 28. And to me, the most fascinating part of the engineering was learning about quantum physics. Yeah. And to me, quantum physics is like the spooky physics because it's the physics of the things that you don't see.
Yes.
Today, we know that the invisible is heck of a power, a lot more than what we see. A manifestation of that.
Our first science classes is it elementary school or middle school, when we look at the electromagnetic spectrum, only a small part of that is a visible spectrum, right? But everything else exists. The radio waves, TV waves, our cell phone, our electromagnetic frequencies, we can't see those either, but they do exist and they can be measured.
Not only that, they hold a tremendous amount of information. So what you're saying here is when we effectively know how to affect those thoughts, the thoughts affect the beliefs they send in the orders, commands to our biological body, and we can overcome terrible diseases such as cancer, for example, just by the thinking.
Yes, that's a major part of it. Now, that's not something you can learn overnight, but it's something that you can work on. And as you get better, your chances are your skills become better and better, and your chances of surviving a cancer become better and better too. But Joe Dispenza is one of those more known doctors that if you read his books, it's not just telling what I'm telling you, but it's also proving it scientifically, because they did EEG measurements and all types of research while they were, in those meditative states. And so for people who are interested, look at Joe Dispenza's work, for example. He's an MD.
He's incredible. It is incredible. I follow him for many, many years, and he did it himself, Dr. Mark. Yeah. Which is actually more compelling because when he started teaching others how to do it is because he already did it all himself after that terrible accident that he had. They told him his back was in pieces. He was never going to walk again. And he said, no, with me, I gonna get out of this hospital, walking and in perfect health. And he did it. He tells us now how train his mind and his beliefs, and overcoming that was a process. It's not overnight.
He calls it rewiring your brain. That's what he calls it.
Rewiring your brain. This is fascinating. And when our listeners are listening, they're gonna be like, "What? Can I do this?" Yes, but you need a method, right? I mean, you were a coach for Olympic teams. Everything is discipline, consistency. In that regard, what would be your advice for someone that would like to start practicing or going through that route to reestablishing a new set of beliefs and just basically upgrading those thoughts to become better?
Yeah, I mean, many of my books, first of all, you need to get in control of your emotions and your feelings. A lot of people cannot manage those. So that would be a good start, to be aware of how you're feeling in certain situations. When you get angry, do you get angry in traffic? What situations you get frustrated at? And those are things you can all write down. And then you're gonna basically ask, what are my options in those situations? Because there's more than one option. It's not just getting angry or flipping a bird or whatever it may be in traffic. There's other options, right? And so that's forming a skill set. What options do I have? And next time I'm in that same situation, I'm gonna choose the freedom to. I'm gonna choose a different response from those other options. And that's how you rewire the brain when it comes to managing and controlling your emotions and feelings. Because many Buddhas have said and monks have said, inner peace basically means is when you come to a point where you 100% control your emotions and feelings and no situation or no other person can affect them, that's when you can reach inner peace. That's the only time you can reach inner peace. So I think we got to really start working on managing your feelings and your emotions. And, that's easy to do. You can do that yourself if you have a guide. Then I would look at things like visualization. What does that mean? And manifestation. Again, those are all things that you do with the mind, thinking about this, writing this down. Visualization is, for example, part of my evening routine. I have several routines during the day, but part of my evening routine, a small part of that is visualization. And what I do is I visualize for about 2 minutes the next 24 hours. And so tomorrow morning I do this, then I do this, then I go to work, I do this, then I have a meeting, then I have this and this and this. But each time I'm making a good decision. A good example is for lunch, I'm going to eat this, or I'm going to bring lunch, or I'm going to bring a juice or whatever. So I'm visualizing my 24 hours. I'm making all good decisions. I already know what I'm going to say during the meeting, and it only happens in 2 minutes. So now the way it helps me in my evening routine is I can go to sleep and I don't have to worry about tomorrow or what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do. Because a lot of people don't sleep well because their mind is still racing, right? Visualization is used with many top athletes. They visualize every day that they win that Olympic gold medal, right? So again, it's making that blueprint over here so you know what's going to happen after, and it's strengthening your belief system. So visualization, manifestation, breath work to me, for your listeners, the best app out there right now, it's called the Breath Source. Because it has a compilation of the best breath masters in the world. You can download it for free. Not everything's for free, but you can download it for free and start learning on how to breathe properly, because 99% of us don't know how to breathe properly and maximize our oxygen. But breathwork also has the ability to get you in a meditative state because you're focusing on your breath. So those are things people on YouTube and via apps can learn almost for free. And if you can afford a coach like myself or anybody else, it's always a help to avoid the pitfalls and get things done faster and more effectively, of course.
Visualization is such a great tool, and I see. I read a lot about that. I at one time in my life, I was totally dedicated to those practices. So I was like a fancy hippie, let's say that. But I was really deep into those practices, and I learned a lot. And then when I came to America and re-engaged my engineering work, I became like full of charge. I already know how to use those tools, which is a great thing. Now, I in my own experience, I feel, Dr. Mike, that visualization, breath work, meditation, programming and visualizing your 24 hours, what you're talking about, it really is effective if you're consistent. These things won't work if you do it here or there. It's kind of like a...
Same with diet.
It's like, yeah. That's true. Yeah, I mean, but people may understand easier that they have to be consistent with their diet if they want the results. But with these practices that involve your thinking, it's not as easy to get into that routine, let's say that. But once you get there in the zone, as you said, you get in the zone.
Yes.
Then everything becomes easier. Now let me ask you something, because now we have this part with the mindset, which is very important. I see you very engaged into the coaching and teaching people how to get a grip on those tools and really use them to get control of their emotions, their thinking, and control the biology as well. I had here before on my podcast doctors talking about the microbiome and how the relation between the microbiome and depression. And actually with one of those doctors, we were talking and he said to me, Claudia, if I would love to tell you what is the direct relationship between the thinking and the way that all of your biology respond, starting by your microbiome. It's like it's a marriage, but it's deeper than a marriage. It's like one cannot live without the other. It's like your mind has to be in a good moment, so to have good microbiome. You have to have good microbiome and healthy gut if you want to get, like good thoughts in clear thinking. So it's not only like going and do the affirmations and your breath work.
Yeah, it's a yin-yang thing, right? Body and mind is still yin-yang. If the body is sluggish and out of shape, you can't think clear. That's why we have terms like brain fog, right? And the other way around too. If your mind is troubled and you can't control your emotion and feelings, you cannot control your body. So it's a yin-yang relationship. You're 100% correct.
Now, on the nutritional side, now let's talk about the body. For us to be at that, like those seven pillars that you mentioned, or 7 foundations of optimal health, on the physical side, taking care of ourselves. Why is so much of a debate lately? What is the proper human diet? What is the best diet for humans? How we should eat? Why it became a debate? If you ask me, I was a farmer, and if you ask me what is the best diet for my cows, I can tell you, and what I tell you is probably the same thing that the other farmers say. We know what is good for cows. They need minerals, they need good grass, water, whatever. For humans, this become lately a debate. No, you have to eat only plants. No, you're destroying the planet if you're eating animals. So how we can raise a consensus of what is the best nutrition for an optimization of the body in a human?
Oh, well, I got my opinion too, of course, based on science. But there's a big difference between habitually, we're omnivores, right? Habitually. Mm-hmm. But pure biologically, physiologically, we're herbivores. There's really no doubt about it. Our jaw, our teeth, our digestive system, all is the same as herbivores. Totally opposite of carnivores, right? So we can go to the whole biology and physiology, and I can list probably 15 different things that basically show that our biology physiology is designed to digest plants and not meat, right? That would be number one. Number two, I always get 2 objections usually when I talk about a perfect diet that I think. Number one, well, Dr. Mike, what about B12, right? Because B12 only comes from animal sources. I said, well, that's what you're saying, but it really doesn't come from animal sources. B12 comes from bacteria that are found in dirt and also in streams, in rivers, right? So in fresh water and in dirt. And that's why animals, when they're raised on a farm, get B12. And that's how we get B12. Animals become the middleman. But today, when animals are not raised on a farm and they obviously don't even see sunlight, they're deficient of B12 also. So now we have both meat eaters and non-meat eaters as humans that are both deficient in B12. So we need to supplement with B12. The other objection that I always get is our ancestors.
That was going to be my next question because they grew up with
I get always the same
hunter-gatherings.
But you need to dig into it because we always hear something and then we repeat it, but we never do our own research or dig deeper. So when they first decided that we are meat eaters, it's because they found tools from our ancestors, like, sort of a knife and a spear and those types of things. And so the conclusion was, well, we must, be hunters and we must be eating meat. We are meat eaters. That's the assumption. But if you go back to more recent research, where now we have, like you said, we can measure a lot more things, right? That's why they go back to cold cases in crime, because now we can have DNA. We didn't have that before, so now we can solve more cases. It's the same with science, right? So now if we go to the bones of those same prehistoric man and woman that had the tools, and we measure the strontium levels, then the conclusion among scientists is that we were mainly herbivores. The reason why we made tools to kill some animals, because if there's a quote-unquote ice age type of thing and there's no vegetation, we want to survive. Our body survives. So now we're killing animals. But that's in a state of survival because the animal fat is what? A lot of calories. So now we're looking at we need calories to survive. So from a survival point of view, yes. But science, because you wanted to talk about science, science says, based on strontium levels in those ancestors' bones, we're herbivores, right? And biology, physiology says that too. And the last thing I like to mention is, if you look at all the current research about diets related to diseases or solving medical diagnosis, you can Google on PubMed as much as you want. I've never seen an animal-based diet with a positive effect on any type of medical diagnosis or disease. It's always a plant-based diet that shows an improvement in any medical diagnosis or physiological condition.
So, but Dr. Mike, I see people very popular on these, channels on YouTube. Michaela Peterson, she had a lot of autoimmune diseases. She suffered since she was very at young age as a kid, and she became 100% carnivore, and she got rid of all of those conditions. So I guess my question to you is, what is the answer for those that effectively got totally healed by approaching diets that were consuming plants?
Yeah, I can't speak to those cases because I don't know what else they did. It's very hard today to say, I started doing this and it changed this, because there's a million other things that we are doing. People ask me when I swim the world record, what worked? Was it optimizing your hormones? Was it hydrogen water? Was it hyperbaric therapy? Was it bioidentical hormone therapy? Was it the supplements? I don't know. I did them all at once because I felt they all contributed, right? So sometimes it's very hard to say. I get the question all the time too, and that's all I want to answer your question too. It's like, well, everybody says smoking's bad, but my grandmother smoked 2 packs a day and she got to be 96 years old. Well, but I can answer that question, right? Because it's not just one thing that defines our health. So then I started asking questions. Okay, your grandmother, where did she live? She lived on a farm 40 minutes outside of town. Okay, so she has fresh air. She's grounding. She doesn't have electromagnetic radiation. And she eats fresh. She doesn't go to the supermarket. So,
yes.
So we all have a bucket. And if the bucket overflows, I call it toxemia, a bucket full of toxins. Because if the bucket overflows, we're ingest and exposed to more toxins than we can eliminate. That's when we get in trouble. That's when we get free radical damage and systemic inflammation. So what does your bucket consist of? If smoking 2 packs is really bad, nobody's going to tell me it's not, but it gets the bucket up until here. But maybe grandma, ate healthy. She lived on a farm. She didn't get... So everything else was good. So the bucket was maybe here, but didn't overflow. She got 96. So you got to look at the bucket, right? And certain things are good,
yes.
Certain things are bad. So I cannot speak to the meat, but I have doctor friends that also eat meat, and they feel really good with it.
Excellent.
So when I
am all those things.
I'm not arguing they don't feel good with it, but I still need a scientific argument that they're doing the right thing, and I don't get that though.
New reasons on why coffee is good for you. This is according to the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. And here is what they say. This is very interesting paper. They say you could live longer. Recent studies found that coffee drinkers are less likely to die from some leading causes of death in women: coronary heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and kidney disease. Second, your body may process glucose or sugar better. This is the theory behind studies that found that people who drink more coffee are less likely to get type 2 diabetes. Number 3, you're less likely to develop heart failure. Drinking 1 or 2 cups of coffee a day may help ward off heart failure when a waking heart has difficulty pumping enough blood to the body. 4, you are less likely to develop Parkinson's disease. Caffeine is not only linked to a lower chance of developing Parkinson's disease, but it may also help those with the condition better control their movements. Reason number 5, your liver will thank you. Both regular and decaf coffee seem to have protective effect over your liver. Research shows that coffee drinkers are more likely to have liver enzyme levels within a healthy range than people who don't drink coffee. Number 6, your DNA will be stronger. Um, One of 23 women developed colon cancer, but research found that coffee drinkers, decaf or regular, were 26% less likely to develop colorectal cancer. Reason number 8, you may decrease your risk of getting Alzheimer's disease. Almost two-thirds of Americans living with Alzheimer's disease are women. But caffeine in 2 cups of coffee may provide significant protection against developing that condition. In fact, researchers found that women aged 65 and older who drank 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day are less likely to develop dementia in general. This is amazing. Reason number 9, you are not as likely to suffer a stroke. For women, drinking at least 1 cup of coffee a day is associated with lower stroke risk, which is the 4th leading cause of death in women. All of this research from the Johns Hopkins is amazing. But what is really good is that you give yourself and your body the best, healthiest coffee available on the market, and that is Expressoul coffee. Go to Expressoul Coffee, www.expressoulcoffee.com, and order our coffees. You have a discount code right here. Take advantage of that discount code for you to be my listeners and order our coffees. Remember, all orders over $50 are free of shipping, and they will get the freshest coffee ever, healthiest because we don't have molds, pesticides, preservatives, organic 100%, delivered to the door of your house at your convenience. And also, we have them in the K-Pod presentations. Go to www.expressoulcoffee.com. I guess it's also the toxicity that we're getting into our water sources and in the soils that are so depleted that when the consumption of plants alone unfortunately are providing less nutrients, that, as you said, as a survival tool, you eat meats that are more more density in nutrients in the meats versus the plants, not because of the plants itself, it's because the conditions of the soils are depleted. They are not growing at the highest potential of nutrition as our ancestors had. I mean, you didn't hear any of our chronic diseases as much.
Well, it's another thing though. When we talk about ancestors, our ancestors died when they were 25 years old. So the only thing they worried about is make babies, right? So to preserve our species.
Yes.
The only thing is survival. But 25, think about it. Who would care today about cholesterol, triglycerides, or anything for that matter if we only live to be 25? Our ancestors did not have to worry about chronic diseases. They didn't exist. They only lived to be 25. They didn't have to worry about heart disease or cancer because they only lived to be 25. So that's also another perspective. But because we now live to be, 80, 90, 100, we have to take into account the long-term effects of what we do today. And our ancestors really didn't have to worry about that.
Now, since we are talking about all of this slow aging, movement out there and more interest from the public to learn how to really slow the aging, we know and we have data from the blue zones in the world. And when you go and look, the correlation between them is not a standard what they eat. Some eat a lot more meats than vegetables. Some in Okinawa even drink and smoke and eat more vegetables than meats. So it's not exact. Those populations where they are the living the longest in the world, there are very specific places in the world, we call them blue zones, where they have the population living over 100 years and they're super healthy and super vibrant and sharp. They have different ways of eating. As I said, some more on the plant-based, the other ones more on the meats-based, some smoke, some drink, and still they happen to live longer than the regular population.
Yes.
So
And
they're
again,
doing something right.
my explanation is the same. Diet is a part of the bucket, right?
That's
So,
cool.
but if your water is fresh, if your air is fresh, if you're not stressed because you don't live in New York City and you don't have to rush to work and you're not in traffic, because in those small villages and the blue zones we're talking about, we don't have that mental stress and emotions, right? So again, we don't have pollution, we don't have polluted air, we don't have polluted water, we don't have electromagnetic frequencies and radiations and 5G towers. And we're not stressed because we're in a laid-back town and everybody's going by their own business. So now, again, diet is still important, but it plays far less role in overflowing that bucket.
Okay, clear on that. And I think it's just fascinating to find out these people successfully are aging in a beautiful way. I mean, you see 105-year-old guy just chasing some goats, going up the hill in those little villages in Greece or in Italy. As fascinated. And also they have a very big sense of community. So I guess their minds and emotions are in the right place.
Correct.
We can say that those buckets, as you call it, they are really in a right place. So let's move a little more again into the biohacking. And I'm gonna bring someone that I've been following for a very long time, and is Brian Johnson. You probably heard his name. He's a tech entrepreneur from Utah, 45-year-old millionaire, multi-millionaire that dedicated his life lately to his project that is called Project Blueprint. And he's implementing a lot of biohacking, anti-aging, slow aging on himself. So he spent over $2 million a year on protocols, different protocols, exploring and pushing the boundaries of science on himself. So, a lot of people criticize him. Oh, he's an extreme, he's whatever. From my perspective, I'm an engineer, I love science. If he's doing it on himself, he's not hurting anybody, he's spending his own money. We're gonna benefit from the discoveries he's doing. And I mean, it is fascinating to see what he's doing. So my question to you is, how do you see this biohacking science going to in our near future? Where are we going with all of this?
Well, we just before biohacking, I was a CEO of a stem cell clinic, regenerative medicine. And again, scientists agreed for a long time now that stem cells are the future of medicine, not necessarily health, but at least the field of medicine, because stem cells can not only repair damaged tissues, which means everything, right? Musculoskeletal, our musculoskeletal system, our organs, our tissues, etc., our brain cells, anything. So not only repair it, but stem cells re-engineer and renew. And I'm a good example. In 2017, at the National Championships in Minneapolis, I had after swimming, 2 full-thickness rotator cuff tears on both sides. Normally that requires surgery, but I was a CEO of a stem cells company, so obviously I'm going to get stem cells instead. And so within 3 months, the before and after imaging was amazing. It was not only that it was fully repaired, but it was much stronger, much more resilient and newer tissue than before I injured my shoulders. So stem cells not only repair, they renew and re-engineer. And just think that we can do that with our organs, our tissues, and even our cells. And so that's the future of medicine. It's the regeneration. And that's what biohacking is, right? A good example is stem cells and hormones, for example, because we are genetically programmed chronologically at a certain point. Our body stops or drastically reduces the production of certain hormones, and then we get into menopause, right? It's something biologically that happens as we age. The same with stem cells. Our quantity and quality of the stem cells that we produce drastically declines with age. But if we incorporate stem cell therapy, or if we incorporate bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, then we actually are going beyond our genetic programming. And that's what biohacking is, right? It's reversing that biological age or extending our life, our quality of life, which is longevity. And so simple things like keeping your hormones up and keeping your stem cells up and those types of things are considered biohacking. So when you ask about where is this going, it's only going to get better and better. And it's now really available to the public. Like I said, some of those things like stem cells are not cheap. We're talking a few thousand dollars here and there, so most people cannot afford that. But that's not where you start anyway. You start with what we're mentioning. We need clean water, so you need a filtration system. My system actually also infuses my water with hydrogen gas. So we could talk about hydrogen, but there's hydrogen gas. And we need to drink enough water. Most of us don't, because we are a plumbing system. We have a circulatory system and lymphatic system. Lymphatic system, as you know, part of the immune system together with our gut. So things need to move and we need to hydrate, right? Hydrate's very important. So clean water. Number 2, clean air. We need to get fresh air from outside. We need to spend a lot more time outdoors, which easily can be done. Lunch, evenings, weekends, we can do that if we want to. But we also need to know how to utilize that oxygen. So here we go again. Learn how to breathe properly, which is in through the nose for 5 counts and out through the nose for 6 counts. Most of us breathe, shallowly through the chest and breathe through the mouth. But the mouth is there to talk and to eat, not to breathe. So again, a simple app like the Breath Source can help you with that. It doesn't cost anything. So utilize that oxygen. Because if we breathe in properly, in and out through the nose, we only breathe 6 times per minute. While now through the mouth, you're breathing probably between 16 and 22 times per minute. So there's an increase of 300% in efficiency of your oxygen just by learning how to breathe properly. So that's air, water, air. Number 3, movement. We talked about our plumbing system. Yes, we need to hydrate our, piping plumbing system, but we need to move. That doesn't mean we need to play organized sports or have to go to the gym. No, it simply need to move. They can be walking, dancing, kayaking, playing with the dog, playing with the grandkids. It doesn't matter. Don't sit still. Now there's devices out there that make you move. You can stand on a vibration platform, or you can buy a mini trampoline. There's different ways to facilitate that, but movement's important. Then opposite of movement is rest and sleep. I always compare this with a market like Publix or anything like that, a shopping market, because when they don't restock during the night, what happens? Nothing's available the next day, and after a few days, they'll have to close the doors. It's the same with our body. We need to replenish, repair, restore, and regenerate. So deep delta sleep is very, very important. So if you don't get enough sleep or deep sleep, you need to do something about it, right? Sleep and rest, that's number 4. Number 5 is our diet. We talked about that. We need to upgrade that to reduce toxemia, reduce toxins in our body. So I'm sure we agree on the fact that everything needs to be as much natural as we can. So if it's beef, grass-fed, if it's anything from Mother Nature, right, would it be your first choice to upgrade your diet? And then the one that I forgot is light. Light stimulates all biological processes in our body. Yes, you can have an infrared sauna, or you can have other types of light therapy, but the best light is still going outside. Now, don't confuse light with heat, but light outside stimulates all biological processes. That's why when we look at animals around the equator in the Amazon, they are strong, they are vibrant, they're colorful. When we look at animals, that live underground or in the dark like a mole, there's not much color, there's not much strength, and they're blind, right? So light stimulates all biological processes. We need to get more light exposure. And then number 7 was the mind, which we have talked about. So there's lots of things to do. Very foundational that will have a huge impact on your health and doesn't cost any money to start your biohacking journey.
The light from the sun. I mean, we're creatures from the sun, and it's not a secret that our Native Americans ancestors, I came from Colombia, and from mix, my ancestors were natives in Colombia. They were, adoring the sun, because for them the sun was the source of all life. In many of our cultures, native cultures around the world, it is a devotion to the sun, because they understood that the sun was the beginning and the end of any life, biological life, and we depend on the sun for everything. I mean, I can tell you, I had a farm, and it was very surprising at one time. We got an eclipse, a solar eclipse. So my chickens went to sleep at 12 at noon because it was dark. So they went to the chicken house, and they were confused because they were like, what's going on? They didn't lay eggs for 3 days. So their cycle was totally disrupted. Was one event when the darkness, their bodies didn't understand what's going on, and they totally get disrupted, and they didn't lay eggs for 3 days. So the sun is extremely important. I totally understand that, and I love the way that you lay those out. I have an infrared sauna here at my house. I go there every night. I went there this morning because I couldn't get there last night, and I love it. But living in a place like you and me here in Florida, we have sun most of the year, all year round, is a blessing. And for those that don't, just try to get outdoors anyway, because the radiation
nicer exposure, yeah.
So that is very good, and thank you very much for letting us know about all of those components of the, what we can do and take attention to be optimal. Now, let's talk a little bit more about this marriage between the biology and the technology. We are in the intersection of biology and technology, particularly in the context of augmentation, enhancing body and mind, which I would love to hear about that nootropics. You're gonna tell us what it is, educate us about that. But let's talk about this fiction type of movies we saw for so long, the super soldier, the superhuman, all of this technological implants or prosthetics. We have for many years now prosthetics in the ear to enhance the hearing in people that are impaired, prosthetics on limbs for people that lose them for different conditions. But now we're talking about the next generation. We're talking about, with all of this AI and all of these technologies, there are also some technological advances where they marriage the technology and the biology. Do you think we're going to see the superhuman, the super soldier, how that will look? What do you think?
Well, yeah, in biohacking, we have 3 levels, right? And you're talking about a 3rd level. The first one is biomodulation. We do something that has a positive effect on our biology, like going in the infrared sauna. So that's considered biomodulation because we're upgrading. Number 2 would be bioenhancement, which is something externally like a stem cell or bioidentical hormones that we talked about, because they put us beyond our genetic programming, and there is a longer lasting effect than the infrared sauna. So that's biomodulation. And then the 3rd level is what you're talking about, is biotransformation. It's merging biology with AI. And like you said, we got biological limbs, we got pacemakers, and we got cochlear implants and all those types of things. Even computer chips in the brain for Parkinson's patients, it already exists. And of course, we all have been subconsciously fed with movies. Decades ago, it started with the Terminator 1, right? Terminator 2. And it started because that's what they do. They program us subconsciously for something that's going to happen. But we already are programmed ourselves, so it's not that big of a shock. It's like, oh, Terminator's an old movie, right? But that's where the trickiness comes in, right? Because just like dynamite was invented for one purpose, but also used for something bad. And that's where we have to be very careful, I think, especially with those controlling the world, wanting to us be a globalist work. I don't know who's pro or con for that, but I'm con a globalist world. And so we need to be very careful as individuals to partake in that, because it also means that we can be much more easily controlled. Being controlled. The question is, yes, I think we can go to a area where we are superhuman, where technology merges with us, where we have the internet in front of our eye and we have all the answers and this and that and biological limbs and stronger. But I think that's going to come with some evil, which means we're going to be controlled. And so I'm not a proponent for that stage number 3.
I love it. And again, if we're going into this biohacking and slow aging, we're using technologies, we're using devices. We got now these amazing devices with LED red light, where you can get and totally have yourself in a red light. You got, hyperbaric chambers. You have the infrared saunas. You have actually gym devices that help you to, do an effort by, exercising with resistance training, but being a lot more effective. So your small session of training is just more powerful. I'd rather think that we gonna use those steps and those protocols to become better humans, live longer, and be more active. And as you said, 100-year-old person performing as a 40-year-old.
Yes, that's.
I have my own proof at home. My husband is 75. Nobody believes that. Not because he had been all his life very consistent. Nutrition, sleeping. He does, resistance training every day. We do the saunas. We do a lot of those interventions. We do the hormones, bioidentical hormones, both of us. So yeah, we are biohacking ourselves, but consciously. I just, again, the way that I see where this world is going with AI and all of these technologies, is not in a stretch to think that maybe those technologies are being used not for the best.
Yep, no, that's the worry for sure.
That is, and it's up to us, just keep those ethics and not let us intimidate by those things. So now we had been discussing all of this biohacking into the mindset, the body. Something I would like to ask you, because you're the medical director of the Clarity Gen Z Health, and I know that at your clinic you have developed some nootropics and some compound medicines that are helping to improve and upgrade the mind and the cognitive functions. I would like for you to educate us about what are nootropics, what they do, are they safe?
I got into it during the pandemic because I was asked to help do pre-screening calls for people that were trying to get qualified for medical marijuana. And I said, sure. So I helped out. And what I found was that there were so many people that had anxiety, depression, ADHD, worry, fear. And so, yes, there's therapies and drugs out there because a lot of those people are on Ritalin, Wellbutrin, and Adderall and those types of drugs. And I didn't like that because, I'm not that kind of guy that deals with drugs. But some of these drugs seem to work for the patients, but obviously they have many potential side effects. Like if we look at Adderall, for example, we're looking at, increased heart rate, increased risk for heart conditions, psychosis, seizures, and the list goes on. It's not something I can recommend, but there's always natural alternatives. So we call those drugs like Adderall that help you focus and get the job done. They call them smart drugs. But nootropics are basically the same, but they're the natural alternatives without any of the side effects. So that's what we call nootropics. Nootropics, they help you with memory, the mind getting focused. As well as for people and kids with ADHD, and as well as for people that are top athletes that really want to get into the zone, it could help without any jittery effects or side effects. So there's plenty on the market, and some of them good and others are not as good. But we have a nootropic that's called Focus Plus. It has only 4 ingredients. The number 1 ingredient is called Biocitroid, which is basically a terpene from a specific type of citrus fruit, actually blood orange from the southeast region of Asia. And Biocitroid at 30 milligrams or higher is able to cross the blood-brain barrier. What that means is it works very fast within about 30 minutes versus other supplements usually have to build up into your system for several weeks in order to find out if they work. And then what we did is we added 3 ingredients, known ingredients, proven ingredients to the Biocitroid to make it a complete formula. So we added L-tyrosine, which is a known amino acid that helps with memory. We added phenylalanine, which is another neuro agent that helps with photographic memory, focus, and those types of things. And then the last one, which I think is the most important one, is phosphatidyl, because phosphatidyl is a fat in our body and our brain, but it stimulates NGF, nerve growth factor. So it stimulates the formation of new brain cells, better neurotransmission, better connection. And it seems then when those 4 ingredients, when we put them together, it seems that people are able to kind of get rid of that dopamine overload they have and balance their 5 intelligence hormones, which are dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, serotonin, and acetylcholine. When those hormones are balanced and at optimal ranges, that's when we're into the zone physiologically. So it seems that this combination of those 4 natural ingredients that don't have any side effects are very safe, that they're able to balance those hormones and optimize those and help people to focus and get the job done.
And those nootropics, because all of the Adderalls out there, they create, other than the side effects, also dependency.
Yes.
Which is really bad. I mean, people that get into that will, very difficult to get out of the medicine because they get dependent, if not addicted.
Yes.
To that. So these nootropics, are they have any risk of addiction? Do they are formulated only for adults or for children? How does that work?
Yeah, it's like taking your vitamin. You not really get addicted to it. You not get addicted to it, but you may experience that increase in focus. And so it usually lasts about 6 hours. So you probably only need one a day. If that helps you, or if you are trying to finish a project, or if you have to, go on stage and do a talk, it may kind of give that little extra focus that you may or may not need. And so I suggest to give it a try. You can go to trysmartpill.com, get a free sample. And again, for some people, it works well and it gets them off Adderall and other smart drugs. And other people feel it doesn't do much. And that's okay too. It's not something that works guaranteed, but if it does work for you, it's a much better and safer alternative to help you focus.
Question, is that by taking that pill, is that interfering with the sleeping?
No, not for most people, but I would say you're not going to take it before you go to bed, right? Because you don't have to focus while you sleep. So you're going to take it usually. Again, it's going to last 6 hours. So when is your work? When do you have to perform? There's really no need to take it before you go to sleep, and therefore it wouldn't interfere anyways.
So where is the website where people can try it for free? We want to put that on the notes.
It's called Try, Smart, SMART, pill, PILL.com, trysmartpill.com.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So while we have that nootropics, this is a new vitamins. It sounds
Well, they're
exciting.
basically designed to help with your brain, with your memory, with your focus. A lot of people have difficulty focusing because most people today are in what we call a dopamine overload. So normally your hormones are balanced, and that's when you can do your homework or be focused without being distracted. But most of us now are in a dopamine overload. Dopamine is the reward hormone, which means is when our brain squirts a little dopamine, it feels good, like getting a pat on the back. So we seek more of it, especially in this society. So we're talking about sugary drinks, energy drinks, coffee, but we're also talking about social media. Because when somebody likes our comment or hearts our Instagram, it squirts dopamine and it feels good, and that's why we get addicted to social media. So most of us need to lower that dopamine and balance our hormones. Because the dopamine overload causes brain fog, inability to focus, procrastination, fidgeting, all those types of things. And it's very hard to break that cycle. But once people understand they're in a dopamine overload and we kind of adjust their diet, but most importantly, have them retake control of social media, then the dopamine overload or those hormones balance again, and then we get rid of the brain fog and everything else.
So what kind of patients are you receiving at your clinic?
Most of it after COVID is online, but we have mostly pain management and then psychological. So we're talking about depression, anxiety, PTSD, ADHD, sexual trauma, those types of things that we help people with their mental conditions. But many times, and this is important because I'm not somebody to prescribe drug. I'm not somebody who wants to have anybody dependent on even a supplement, even if it's natural. Because what I found many times is that these people had these symptoms like anxiety, depression, worry, fear, because they had no purpose in life. And that's why I wrote my last book. Because when you have no purpose in life and you're going through the motions and you're putting out fires every day, trying to survive, even financially, if we put ourselves in that situation, of course, I'm going to be worried. I'm going to be uncertain about tomorrow, about next week, about next month, about next year, which then develops in what? Depression and anxiety. So many times with my clients, I'm not just sending them to a therapist or putting on a nootropic. No, I want a session with them and I will talk about their purpose in life and trying to find passion and fire in their stomach identify their purpose, and then we're going to retake control, not necessarily of their health, but of their life, of their calendar. We're going to set goals. We're going to set a plan so people know what tomorrow brings, because they're in control of their life. If we script their life and we are in control of our lives, we create clarity, and clarity reduces stress.
Do you like coffee?
I like coffee, but I don't drink it unless I'm on a brunch with friends or in a hotel room. I'll get it, but I like it.
I love coffee, and I have a brand of coffee. I want to send you some of my coffees. You try them when you are at a brunch with friends.
Yeah, I'll try.
Yes, it is all created for the healthy people, because it's all is a boutique type of coffee. I bring that from small farms. I work with the farmers.
Not your regular
to control the process. It is beautiful because most of the people are drinking terrible coffee that is loaded with mycotoxins and molds that had been stored for many, many years. How that can be good for you. So no, I do that, but I'm gonna send you some of those to you. Question. The last question, I'm curious. What was your TED talk about?
Well, I wanted to do it about getting in the zone on demand, but the theme of this TED talk was a little bit different. So the title of my TED talk now became Unconventional Prescription to Improve Your Social Skills. And it actually is about the importance of being present in the moment. Because as individuals, we never really listen to other people anymore, or we're already thinking on how we should respond. Or as adults, we're at home and we're not really listening to our kids, even though they think we're listening. And then they notice you're not listening. So it's about being present in the moment. And a simple solution to that is a reset breath. A reset breath is something that you can get yourself back into the present moment, because most of us are not living in the present moment, right? So that's the synopsis.
5 in, 6 out.
No, that's how we should breathe normally. A reset breath, well, a reset breath is basically, we're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. When we breathe in through the nose, the tongue is going to be on the roof of the mouth. And when we exhale, we make a ha sound, but it's going to go very fast like this. We usually do that 10 times, but after the last inhale, we hold our breath and then slowly exhale again. So that's part of the reset breath.
Okay, my listeners, you learned something new today. A lot. Reset breath. I want to practice.
Yes. Go to the Breath Source. Download the app for free. It's not mine, but I like it. I use it. And you can learn the reset breath there at no cost.
Breath Source.
The Breath Source. Yeah, it's an app you can download on your smart device.
Beautiful. We're going to put that in our description box. So, Dr. Mike, we had a very, very nice conversation with you today. And I'm sure a lot of my listeners going to have a lot of more questions probably for you. So I would love to keep the invitation open for you to come back. If you're going to release more books, when you're, when new endeavors, just call me. We have you here talking about those new exciting projects and updating us in what is new in this amazing science of the biohacking.
Yeah, and if people want to, visit me or look at my books, mentorship programs, right now I got a free email you can subscribe to. Just go to biohackingunlimited.com. That's my website, biohackingunlimited.com.
Beautiful. So we can do that and get all of that amazing information there. Dr. Mike, thank you very much for your time. This has been a pleasure. And I love what we discussed today. So I love to think about myself.
Well, thank you for your time too, Claudia. Thank you for your time too, and spreading the word.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming here and share with us your knowledge and your sage wisdom. And remember, my listeners, until next time, health is wealth for the body, mind, and soul. Take care. Dear listeners, I hope you enjoyed the podcast as much as I did. I hope you learn about all of this new world of the biohacking, these new technologies, and upgrading our biology as humans to bring us to our optimal levels. It's so fascinating. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe right here and hit the notification button. That way you never miss an episode from our podcast. Also follow us in all our media channels. And once again, we are grateful for your support. Supporting this channel is supporting the spread the word of wellness, so many more people will get this information and take control of their health. So please support us by going to the description box and ordering products from our sponsors, Expressoul Coffee, and our affiliates, which we have beautiful discounts on excellent products for you, our listeners. Thank you very much. And remember, until next time, health is wealth for the body, mind, and soul. Take care.
Thank you very much for listening. And if you like the information that we shared with you today, please subscribe to the Expressoul Health and Wellness podcast and follow us in the social media outlets of your choice. Until next time, please remember, health is wealth for the body, mind, and soul.